All right, so welcome to Tolentino Teaching. One thing I struggled with initially in my classes is I really struggled to get students to write. And many teachers run into this. Some of us are put in schools where there's just a lot of students who are struggling writers and don't want to write. But I want to share what's worked for me because I know a lot of teachers are having difficulty, and I want to share examples that have worked for me. And I want to do this because I love educational theory. I love reading theory, but what theory didn't give me is specific examples of things that I could use in my classroom. Maybe they did a little bit, but it wasn't super helpful, at least for me. So I want to share what's worked for me, and hopefully it can help you out. So what I do with struggling writers or students that just don't want to write is I give a variety of writing prompts, right? Students are individuals, and some writing prompts are going to work for some students, and some writing prompts are not. If you use a variety of writing prompts, from narrative writing to topics of interest like anime and what's the coolest car, what's your favorite car, and K-pop and sports. If you use a variety, then you tend to find things that work for certain students. Okay. I also like to give students choices with writing prompts. I don't always do that, but in some cases, giving students choices allows you to really get students writing on topics that they're passionate and interested in. Okay, so the first thing I do is I use a variety of writing prompts. Another thing I do is I do a lot of writing contests. So when students do a writing prompt, I tell them, okay, I don't tell them this is your writing prompt. I tell them this is your writing contest. The writing contest today is on what is the best kind of car to buy or something like that, right? One of my writing prompts, okay? And when there's a writing contest, what I found is students are super interested in the rubric or the assessment. They want to know, how do you win the writing contest? And then you explain. So my assessment, I'm very clear with students, and I'll leave my rubric in the description. So what I do is I tell students that I want you to experiment with language. Okay, so if they integrate any of the vocabulary words that we've used into their writing, that looks really good. I need students to use proper conventions. So punctuation, spelling, grammar, capitalization need to be on point. Okay. And I also look for ideas or a mind at work. Okay. And by using those three things and choosing three winners, what I can do is, if there's a student who's doesn't like to write much, right? But they have great ideas, then I can have them be one of the writing contest winners. Or if I have a student who doesn't typically write much but is integrating vocabulary, I might have them be one of the winners. So I have 3 writing contest winners for every writing prompt. I do about 2 a week. Okay. And I also give the students candy. And I have students, the writing contest winners, they have their names on the wall on a sheet of paper, and it says writing contest winners. And at the end of the semester, I give prizes for the students that have the most writing contest championships, as I call it. This might not be for everyone. I'm just telling you, this has worked really well for me. Okay. So diverse set of writing prompts. Okay. I turn everything into a writing contest. And then another thing that it's very important to get students who don't want to write is your feedback, the feedback that you give them. So I give a lot of positive feedback. Okay. Even when the feedback is corrective, I use the corrective feedback to point to something positive. So for example, I might say, hey, I'll tell the student, if you used a period here, that would really illuminate the idea you're trying to say. It would be clearer. Okay. So I'm not just saying you need to use periods, or you can't use this phrase, or your writing isn't very clear. I don't do it like that. I use the corrective feedback to point to how to make their ideas better. And I try to keep a lot of the feedback focused on ideas, because every student, no matter how little they want to write, or every student has ideas. Okay. And if you can build on those ideas, you can incentivize writing. Because when people are struggling writers, I found 2 reasons why. One, they might be decent writers, they just aren't interested. And if that's the case, you need to find topics that interest them. And then another reason is some students just feel bad. They think I'm not a very good writer. And we tend to not want to do things we're not good at, right? So if this is the case, giving them positive, constructive feedback is very, very important, okay? So you want to have positive feedback, and if it's corrective, make sure the corrective feedback leads to something positive, okay? So this is what I've done in my classes with the writing prompts. I'll leave the writing prompts that I use in the description. If you have questions, please ask me, because I really struggled with this initially. And now I'm getting 100% of my students are writing, and they're writing, for the most part, all of them are engaged. They're trying to win the writing contest, or they're really trying, and that's something I struggled with, okay? So use a variety of writing prompts, turn things into competitions or contests, have prizes, okay, and positive feedback, okay? Another thing I like to do, I'll add one more thing. My writing prompts are videos. I like to hype up the videos. You know, before you watch a football game, you get the pregame hype. I do that for the writing prompts. So let's say if we're writing on what's the best kind of car or something like that, I will do something where I pass out a little sheet of paper and I'll say, hey, I'm not telling you what I'm doing. Here's a little sheet of paper, okay? This little sheet of paper, write down your favorite kind of car and the color, but don't let anyone see what you write. So they can do that. And then what I'll do is I'll collect them, read them. Students will guess who wrote it. And you start a discussion on cars. So before you do the writing prompt, you do something that creates a discussion or something of that nature, okay? After that, I turn off the lights, okay? And then I create like a production, like a movie. I play the video, okay? It's a different kind of stimulus. We're no longer talking about it. And what I do is I tell the students, hey, I need 2 minutes of focus, absolute focus, so you know exactly what you're doing for this writing contest, because I want you to have the best chance possible to win this writing contest, okay? Because when you first start teaching, it can be shocking when you're dealing with students who are struggling writers, how little they pay attention to what you're saying, okay? Like I have students, I can talk for 10 seconds and they're not listening anymore, okay? So, but what you can do is direct them. So that's what I do. I tell them, hey, put your phones away, put your computers away. I need 2 minutes of absolute concentration. And I'm doing it for you because I want you to win the writing contest. I want you to put your name on the wall. Okay, wouldn't that be cool? And then you get a piece of candy as well if you win. And students love candy. Some teachers don't like giving candy. I love it. That's what I do. Okay, you don't have to do it. That's what I do. So those are all the things that I do that have really helped with engagement and getting the struggling writers right. So I'll leave the writing prompts in the discussion box. I'll also leave my email. If you have more questions, email me. I'm very passionate about this topic and I have lots of ideas on this topic. So email me and yeah, hope that helps.